You know, when I came to America newly, I used to think African Americans are lazy. They don't want to work and all that. You will never understand the struggle of African Americans until you live in the system for 5 years. Then you understand that being black in the system is already playing you 10-0, like you are 10 steps behind. The schools in black neighborhoods, they are all underfunded. The only thing you can find anywhere, everywhere in black neighborhood is liquor store. Keep drinking and keep yourselves busy. Now I understand why everybody's fighting so much to live in white neighborhood. Before I used to say they are not proud of their skin color. They don't love who they are. But they're actually fighting for their children's future. Because being black in the system is already playing you 10-0. You are 10 steps behind. Is it you that is coming with underfunded certificates that want to be competing with somebody that is 10 steps ahead of you? Being black in the system is tough. You see, African Americans and Africans, we're all the same. Let us not be distracted. We are all the same. The only difference is that one is living in America, the other one is coming from Africa. Let's support each other's business. If you see your brother trying to make ends meet, support his business. You get to the point now. Peace and love.
Even though I want to disagree with you, I get where you're coming from. When I see black people talking about racism, all that stuff, I'm like, what is wrong with these people? You guys have food, you have EBT, all this thing, and you're here shouting about somebody is racist too. Just leave that person and move on. I feel that way. Like, why are they always like complaining? But when Black Lives Matters started happening, like, I sat down, I said, I need to actually know why these people are pained. And if we look at the history, what they've done to them, like if you actually sit down, watch some documentaries, how they were maltreated, I don't think if I'm actually born, I will forgive those people. I don't care. It's easier for us Africans that were raised in Africa to feel like they're complaining because we were raised through struggle. Like I barely even have water, and you have water, you're complaining. But then it's not about the basic necessity or about how we are raised. We are raised like, I don't want to say way better. We might not have resources, but there are some way, like our own people will not look down on us or put us behind. So it's in they're nurtured that way. Like they just can't overlook it. And if you sit down and watch everything that the forefathers have been through for you, I changed my mind. No, they need to be angry. However,
centuries, African Americans have fought for justice, equality, and the right to exist freely in the United States. From slavery to segregation, from police brutality to systemic racism, this struggle is far from over. Watch and pay attention, and I will share my thoughts later.
I feel like a lot of Africans don't understand the African American experience. I never knew until I came here and started learning the history of what happened here. Like all the way from the end of slavery, Jim Crow laws, redlining, the civil rights movement, the pipeline from the school to prison pipeline.
The prison industrial complex.
Yeah, like all of this stuff. I don't think Africans have an idea of all these things that are put against African Americans to become successful. Like even the Africans that are brought here, we're brought and we're put into like nicer neighborhoods. They don't put us in Southside Chicago in like the worst neighborhoods where you literally have to get a gun to survive.
My family members in the US, when they go to the bank to take a loan, they will be given a loan. But when their African American friends go there, to take the same loan, they will deny them, from having a loan. When it also comes to jobs, for example, just to apply some jobs, my African family, with African passport, they will give them some jobs, and then the African Americans, they know they will not be able to have the same jobs. So God bless this brother here for explaining these things, to the Africans who thinks that they are in the United States and they are better than African Americans, because of their hard works, they are there. As he said, from the time of slavery all the way to the Jim Crow era in the United States, not only that, but even today, the way the system is built, you as an African with an African passport, the system will favor you than the African Americans. Because of why? The system knows that first, you are not American, and then not only that, but they can also put a pressure on you, just like at your workplace, to do certain things, even you don't want to. Why? Because you do not want to lose your green card, or you do not want to lose your job, which might just put you at the risk of deporting you back to your home country. I have seen a lot of Africans, on the internet, talking about African Americans being lazy, being this, being that, if you think because of your hard work you are in the US, Why don't you sit your ass in Africa, to work hard to get what you are having right now in the US? But no, because you can't make it in Africa, because of the way our system back home here also is not enough jobs for people, not only jobs, but you, for example, who is from a minority family, let's start with, you will not have the chance, to be able to do something here, because it's not about what you know, it's about whom you know. The same system is in the United States put in place for the African Americans, So I want to see all of you Black Americans, I want to see all of you Black Africans, to work together, to know that we are all families, I am Africans. And then it hurts me a lot that by seeing Africans on the internet in the United States, trying to bully the African Americans, taking them as lazy, or taking them as they don't work. But this is what happens, if you do not learn your history, and not only that, you also think that white man is God, Trust me, so many of African people are brainwashed to believe in this, Sadly, we even have leaders right now in power who are working for the same people who are oppressing the African Americans in the United States. The same people, our own leaders in Africa, are also oppressing us. These people in the United States, these Black Africans who think like this, they just think the same as some of our leaders here right now who are working with these Western powers to oppress the Black peoples in general. So I said, it's time for you Africans, who thinks like this, to come on the table, to know that African Americans are our family members.
As an African living in the United States, I used to share the same sentiment that Africans share about African Americans, because I had a hard time when I first moved here. People used to always tell me, you're not Black enough, you're an Oreo, you're secretly white on the inside, as if I wasn't literally from Africa. But I now understand, after living here for 8 years, that Black in the United States is a very specific criteria, and anything outside of that just doesn't fit. But I want to help African Americans understand that Africans coming to the United States are immigrants, first and foremost. Then they are Nigerian or Senegalese or whatever country they're from, and then at some point they are Black. But Africans don't put Black high up on their identity well as much as African Americans do. And that is for legitimate reasons on both ends. And so when an African is coming to the United States, they're thinking to themselves, okay, I'm an immigrant here. I have to do my best for myself and my family back home. The sacrifices that took for me to get here were no light work. Okay, so I need to really align myself with what's going to make me successful in this country. And because it's the United States, it's the dominant culture, which is white American culture. And so Africans are going to instinctively ally themselves with the culture that's going to give them the most success. I mean, African Americans even admit that they have to code switch to be successful here, because that's what brings success. And so Africans are like, all right, we'll do that. And it also doesn't help that for a long time, Africans are fed a very negative view of Black American culture, and that's its own propaganda. But because Africans are so conservative and they're coming to a country where Black Americans have been labeled as the antithesis to this conservative traditional family values, they have, if anything, more in common with Southern Baptist white racist people. But that aside, going back to identity markers, Black Americans put Black first and foremost, and then everything else goes below it. And so they're thinking when another Black people come to our country, they're going to want to integrate with us, the other Black people, because Black comes first. And they get quickly disappointed in realizing that for Africans, Black and the identity and that coming is not first. Their immigrant identity comes first, and then their country. And if anything, for us as Africans to feel like that's my brother, that's my brethren, or whatever, you have to come from the same tribe as us, because we have so many Black people around, we don't automatically pre-select for Black. But Black Americans don't have so many Black people around, have had to defend and protect their culture amidst a dominant white culture. And so they already pre-select and are overprotective for Black. And so that's why I think at the core of it, there's a deep misunderstanding, because of not realizing that we put like where we put our identity markers and what we put first and what we prioritize are so different culturally because of our differences in trauma, realistically. And so it does make sense that Black Americans will be like, oh, my people, my brethrens, come here. And African Americans, or Africans, sorry, coming to the United States are like, I'm just trying to make it here. Like, it's a lot of work to immigrate to the United States. And so y'all can stay over there, and I can see why it's hurtful, and I can see why it's taken personally, and I can see the deep misunderstanding and the betrayal that African Americans feel. But it's unfortunate, and that's just a reality. But if we can talk about it from this perspective, I think we can get to a better understanding. But I also believe that Africans that spend enough time in the United States get to this compassion and understanding of the Black American community, because it is a very unique and specific set of circumstances for a culture to grow and to develop.
As a conscious African, I must push back against this constant display of ignorance by some African people against African Americans. African Americans must know that this is not the sentiment of a majority of African people. The constant disregard and disrespect of African American accomplishments, of their struggle, of their grace, of their excellence, of their fortitude must stop. It is embarrassing, it is heartbreaking. African Americans must know that this is not the truth. If you ever get a chance of visiting the continent, if you've ever visited the continent, you will know that you are loved, you are supported, and you are embraced as a member of this African family, because you are a member of the African family. And this display of ignorance by Africans, especially those Africans who have decided to settle on this soil, on American soil, must understand that it is because of the struggle, it is because of the sacrifices of African Americans that we are able to be here, that we are able to enjoy these things. And so you are exposing your own ignorance speaking this way. Stop it.
Honestly, I feel like as an African American, this diaspora bullshit.
I have to chime in here because I haven't seen a lot of videos with the AA versus Africans conversation, but this propaganda, this is so westernized. I literally just spent a week in Africa. I went to 3 different countries. I was there a week and a half ago. I went to Egypt, Morocco, and Senegal. I have literally never felt any type of tension between Africans and myself while on the continent. And that was not my first time on the continent. I have been to Ghana, South Africa, Tanzania, Kenya. Literally no country I've been to made me feel unwelcomed or like I wasn't a part of those people, that land, nothing. Regardless of these conversations, please do not let these conversations stop you guys from visiting African countries, because it is not like that over there. I promise you. We have to stop this foolishness. Like, it's not going to get us nowhere fast. We all just got to love each other.
The African-American struggle began the moment enslaved Africans were brought to the American shores. Generations endured slavery, lynching, and segregation. Even after the Civil Rights Act of 1964, racism did not disappear. It simply evolved into new forms. Black Americans faced deep economic disparities, centuries of systemic racism, redlining, employment discrimination, and unequal wages have made it harder for Black families to accumulate wealth. Even today, the median wealth of a white family is nearly 10 times of that of a Black family. The criminal justice system disproportionately targets Black people. Despite making up only 13% of the US population, African Americans account for a large percentage of the prison population. Police violence, racial profiling, and excessive sentencing continue to devastate Black communities. Education should be the great equalizer, but for many Black students, it is another battlefield. Underfunded schools, racial biases in disciplinary actions, and limited access to higher education create significant obstacles to success. Despite these struggles, African Americans have continued to push forward, fighting for their rights, excelling in every field, and shaping American culture. From Malcolm X to Martin Luther King, from Angela Davis to modern activists, the fight for justice is alive and well. The fight is not over. It is time to listen, learn, and take action. What can you do to support justice and equality? Drop your thoughts in the comment below. Until next time, cheers and have a good one.